Level 1. The first hook. You are 34 years old. It is 11:47 at night. You are standing on the shoulder of Interstate 40 outside Albuquerque, New Mexico, in the kind of cold that does not care what you are going through personally. The car in the ditch belongs to a woman named Sandra. She's sitting in the passenger seat of your truck now with a blanket around her shoulders that you keep in the cab for exactly this reason. She has not said much. She does not need to. You have seen this face before, the face of someone whose night just became a different kind of night than they planned. You hook the chain to her bumper. You do not think about the cold. You do not think about the fact that it is almost midnight. You think about the angle, the tension, whether the left rear wheel is going to give you trouble coming up the bank. It does not. The car comes up clean. Sandra says thank you 3 times in a row, the way people do when they mean it and do not know what else to say. You tell her it is no problem. You tell her she can wait in the truck while you finish the paperwork. She asks if you do this every night. You think about how to answer that. Most nights, you say. 3 months ago, you did not know how to hook a chain to a bumper. 3 months ago, you were managing a sporting goods warehouse in Flagstaff, assistant logistics coordinator, a title that meant you were the one who stayed late when the shipments came in wrong and took the blame when the inventory report did not match the count. Then your marriage ended. You do not need to explain why. The explanation is long, and it belongs to both of you in ways that are not easy to divide. What matters is that you signed the papers in March and moved into a 1-bedroom apartment that smelled like the previous tenant's cooking. You have 2 kids, a son named Marcus. He is 9. A daughter named Raina. She is 6. You have them every other weekend. That is what the arrangement says. Every other weekend is not very much. You took the towing job because it paid more than the warehouse and started in 4 days. Your brother-in-law, who is still somehow on your side despite everything, knew a dispatcher at a local company called Southwest Hook and Haul. He made a call. They needed a night driver. You needed something to do at night that was not staring at the ceiling of your new apartment thinking about the weekend schedule. You said yes before he finished the sentence. Your first week, your supervisor, a man named Dale, showed you how to operate the wheel lift, how to read a chain angle, how to talk to people who are standing on the side of the road at 2 in the morning and have forgotten how to be calm. Dale has been doing this for 19 years. He drinks terrible coffee from a thermos and speaks almost exclusively in short, declarative sentences. He said one thing to you on your first night that you have not forgotten. He said, "People call us when everything else has stopped working." Then he handed you the thermos and walked back to his truck. You have been thinking about that sentence ever since. Level 2. The rookie. You have been on the job for 6 weeks. This is what 6 weeks looks like from the inside. You have learned that every tow is different, and the variables are always the ones you did not plan for. You have learned that the wheel lift is not a substitute for knowing what you are doing. You have learned that a flatbed and a wheel lift truck are not the same conversation, and that choosing the wrong one at a scene makes you look exactly as new as you are. You have learned that people on the side of the road are not always grateful. Sometimes they are furious at the situation, at the car, occasionally at you, which is impressive given that you have just driven 20 minutes in the dark to help them. You have learned to let it pass. Dale told you on your 3rd night, you are not the problem. You are just the person standing there when they run out of road to be angry at. You have also learned something nobody tells you before you start. You spend a lot of time alone. The dispatch radio goes quiet at 1 a.m. sometimes for 40 minutes at a stretch. You sit in the lot behind the company yard eating a sandwich you made at 6 p.m. and listening to the engine idle and thinking about things you would rather not think about. You call Marcus on Sunday nights. He talks for 4 minutes about Minecraft. You ask about Raina. He says Raina is asleep. You say, okay. The call ends the way it always ends, which is badly, by which you mean politely, which is almost worse. Every other weekend is coming up. You have been counting the days since the last one. Level 3. The road technician. You have been on the job for 4 months. Road technician. That is the official job title at Southwest Hook and Haul for someone who has passed their basic certification and is no longer supervised on solo calls. You are not a rookie anymore. The paperwork says so. You know things now. You know that a rear-wheel drive car in a ditch needs a different approach than a front-wheel drive. You know that when someone says they just need a jump, there is a 40% chance they actually need a tow. You know which neighborhoods have the difficult parking situations. You know which highways have the wind problems. You know which dispatchers will give you a heads up on a bad call, and which ones will send you into a situation and let you figure it out on arrival. You have your own system now. Emergency kit in the right side box. Straps organized by length. Paperwork clipboard clipped to the driver door. 2 pairs of gloves, because you have learned the hard way what happens to your hands in November when you have only 1 pair. Your numbers are up. Response times under industry average. 0 complaints in the last 8 weeks. Dale mentioned this in passing last Thursday, which from Dale is equivalent to a standing ovation. The weekends with Marcus and Raina have become the fixed point everything else orbits around. Marcus wants to know how the truck works. Every time you pick him up, he asks a different technical question. Last weekend, it was about the wheel lift motor. You spent 14 minutes in the parking lot of a Denny's explaining hydraulics to a 9-year-old who listened with complete seriousness and then asked if the truck could lift a dinosaur. You told him it depended on the dinosaur. He decided a raptor would be fine, but a T-Rex would be pushing it. Raina sat in the passenger seat the entire time, eating a granola bar, pretending she was not listening. She was listening. She always is. You drive them back Sunday evening. You watch them walk up to the front door. You wait until it closes. The drive home takes 18 minutes. You make it last longer than that. Level 4. The night shift specialist. You are 7 months in. Southwest Hook and Haul has given you the overnight route permanently, not as a punishment, as a designation. Night shift specialist is not a printed title. It is what Dale calls you when he introduces you to the new hires, which is how you know it means something. The night shift is its own world. Between midnight and 5 a.m., the roads belong to a different set of people. Shift workers, delivery drivers, the occasional person who could not sleep and went somewhere, and then the other kind. The kind who made a decision earlier in the evening that has caught up with them by 2 a.m. and is currently sitting in a ditch on State Route 14. You have learned to read a scene before you get out of the truck, not in a suspicious way, in a careful way, the way Dale taught you, the way experience teaches you when Dale is not around. You have also learned that the towing industry runs on one thing that nobody talks about in the job listing: speed. Not reckless speed, the other kind. The speed of someone who has done this enough times that each step is already happening while the previous one is finishing. Hook, angle, tension, lift, verify, secure. 6 steps that used to take you 14 minutes now take you 4. You do not think about the steps anymore. The steps think for themselves. Your body has also filed some complaints. Your lower back has opinions about every night you spent on the wrong angle. Your right shoulder clicks now when you raise it above your head. You are 34 years old, and your shoulder clicks. You do not mention this to anyone. There is a moment that happens sometimes, around 3 a.m., when you are between calls and the city is quiet and the radio is off and you are just sitting in the cab of a tow truck in a parking lot under a sodium light. The world is completely still. You have started not minding those moments as much as you expected. Level 5. The heavy-duty driver. You are 1 year in. Heavy-duty certification. That is what you spent the last 6 weeks working toward on your days off. Commercial vehicles, box trucks, the occasional RV, loads that require a rotator or a heavy wrecker instead of a standard flatbed. The test was not easy. You passed it on a Tuesday and sat in your truck in the DMV parking lot and called your brother-in-law and said you passed. He said, "That's huge." You said, "Yeah." Then you both ran out of things to say and hung up, which is how your best conversations end. Heavy duty changes the job in 2 ways. First, the calls are harder. A semi that is jackknifed on the freeway is not a routine call. It requires a different machine, a different mindset, and the kind of patience that only develops when you have tried to rush something that cannot be rushed and learned exactly what happens. Second, the pay is better. The pay is noticeably, meaningfully better. You do not say this to people. It feels like the wrong thing to celebrate out loud, but you put an extra $50 in the account you started for Marcus and Raina's birthdays, and you feel something sitting at your kitchen table afterward that is not quite peace, but is close enough to work with. Marcus turns 10 this year. You are there for it, not just the weekend, the actual day. You requested it in advance. Southwest Hook and Hall approved it. You pick him up from school and he is already talking before he gets in the truck. You take them both to a place with go-karts. Raina crashes hers twice on purpose and laughs both times in a way that makes the whole evening impossible to be sad during. Driving home, Marcus falls asleep in the back seat. Raina is quiet for a while. Then she says, "Dad, is your job dangerous?" You tell her sometimes, not most times. You tell her you are careful. She looks at the window. She says, "I know you are." You do not say anything. You let the road do the rest. Level 6, the senior operator. You are 18 months in. Senior operator. There is no plaque, no ceremony. What there is a better truck. A 2021 Kenworth with a 35-ton rotator, clean cab, new radio, a side mirror on the passenger side that does not vibrate off at highway speed. You have earned first selection on complex calls, the ones other drivers flag as difficult, the ones that require someone who will take the time to think before they hook. A new driver named Jesse started 2 months ago. He is 26. He does everything with urgency in a way that is going to get him hurt if someone does not slow him down. You slow him down, not by telling him to. By working beside him and letting the pace of doing it correctly demonstrate that correct is faster than fast. He is getting better. Last Thursday, he ran a complicated off-road recovery without backup. He called you after just to debrief. Not because he was required to, because he wanted someone to tell him if he had done it right. You told him what he did right. You told him the one thing you would have done differently. He listened the way young drivers listen when they are actually listening, which is quietly. He is going to be good. The divorce settlement renegotiation was finalized last month. You now have Marcus and Raina on alternating weeks instead of alternating weekends. Your lawyer said it was a good outcome. It cost you more than you were comfortable spending. It was worth every dollar. The first Wednesday night you have them on a school night, you cook dinner badly. Raina eats hers with the specific politeness of someone who has decided not to comment. Marcus eats 3 portions and says nothing, which you take as a compliment. After dinner, they do homework at the kitchen table. You sit at the same table and do your paperwork for the week. Nobody talks much. It is the best evening you have had in 2 years. Level 7, the incident commander. You are 2.5 years in. There is a category of call in this industry that does not come up in the job listing, the certification materials, or the orientation Dale ran on your first week. Multi-vehicle incidents. A pile-up on the freeway at 1 a.m. in a rainstorm. 4 cars. A box truck. 2 of the cars are still drivable. 1 is not. The box truck is blocking 2 lanes, and the driver is out of the vehicle and needs to not be standing where he is standing. The first time you ran one of these, 18 months ago, you did what you were told and stayed in your lane and let dispatch coordinate. Now you are the one coordinating, not because anyone gave you a title, because you arrived first and you knew what order things needed to happen in, and you started making that happen, and everyone else slotted in around it. Police, fire, the other tow units, the highway department. You talk to all of them. You talk to them in the order of what is most urgent. You talk to them the way Dale taught you, which is calmly and with specific information, not the way people talk when adrenaline has taken over their vocabulary. The scene clears in 42 minutes. A highway patrol officer you do not know walks over when it is done and says, "Nice work." You nod. You get back in your truck. You are home by 6 a.m. Marcus is eating cereal when you walk in. You changed the door code last month so they could let themselves in when you were on a late call. He does not look up from the bowl. He says, "Long night?" You say, "Yeah." He pours you a bowl without being asked. You sit down. You eat cereal at 6 a.m. with your 10-year-old son, and you think that there are worse ways to end a night than this. There are considerably worse ways. Level 8, the company trainer. You are 3 years in. Southwest Hook and Hall has 11 drivers now. 4 of them you trained. The company has formalized it. You are the designated field trainer for new hires. You shadow their first 2 weeks on night shifts. You assess their rigging. You tell them what the manual does not tell them, which is most of the important things. You tell them, the call is never just the car. The call is always the person attached to the car. You tell them, the first thing you do on every scene is slow down. Not because urgency does not matter, because urgency without assessment creates a second problem. You tell them, this job will take things from you. Sleep mostly. Some weekends. Your lower back. Give it those things. Do not let it take your patience. Patience is the only tool that works on every single call. And unlike the equipment, nobody else can lend you theirs when yours runs out. New drivers remember this. The good ones, anyway. You are training a woman named Diana right now. She's 31, former Army logistics. She hooks a chain correctly on her second attempt and does not make the same mistake twice, which puts her ahead of where you were at the same point. You tell her this. She says she appreciates it without making it into a thing. You understand that completely. The kids are with you this week. Raina has started drawing, not casually, with focus. She sits at the kitchen table with a sketchbook and draws for an hour at a time. Cars, mostly. You noticed this and did not mention it. You bought her a set of proper drawing pencils and left them on the table. She found them and looked at you and said thank you without performing surprise, because Raina does not perform things. Last Tuesday, you came home from a 4 a.m. call. The apartment was quiet. You sat in the kitchen chair. On the table was a page from Raina's sketchbook. She had drawn a tow truck, hooked down, lights on, someone standing beside it. She had drawn the person wearing a jacket with your name on it. You have kept the drawing. It is folded in your work jacket. It goes on every call. Level 9, the operations supervisor. You are 4 years in. Dale retired in September. Not dramatically, not with a speech. He handed in his thermos at the end of a Thursday shift and said he was done. The owner, a man named Phil, threw a brief gathering in the yard with a sheet cake that said, "Thanks Dale" in blue icing. Dale ate one piece and left. You found out on Friday morning that you were the new operations supervisor. Phil explained it in 12 sentences. Better hours. Salary instead of hourly. Route oversight, driver scheduling, incident review. You would still take calls when coverage required it. Otherwise, you would be running things from inside. You said yes. Then you sat in your truck for 9 minutes. The 9 minutes were not hesitation. You knew the answer. The 9 minutes were something else. A quiet accounting of what you were leaving. Not the hard nights, not the cold, not the shoulder that clicks. The part you were leaving was the part that surprised you. The recovery that went clean. The driver you coached through their first complex call. The woman with the blanket on the shoulder of I-40. The particular silence of a cleared scene at 3 a.m. You have hooked and hauled over 3,000 vehicles. 3,000 moments where someone's night stopped working and you showed up. You move inside. You do not look back at the truck. You look back at the truck. Level 10. The end of the road. You are 38 years old. Marcus is 13 now. He is at the age where the answers to your questions get shorter and the silences between you get more specific. You know what that silence is. You were 13 once. You let him have it. You stay close enough that the silence knows where to find you when it is ready to end. Raina is 10. She has moved on from the sketchbook to digital art on a tablet you bought her for her birthday. She designs things now. Buildings, mostly. She has strong opinions about window placement and structural logic that she delivers to you at dinner as though you are expected to have been thinking about this. You have started having opinions about window placement. You did not expect this development, but you are not sorry about it. The company has grown. 16 drivers, a second yard, a contract with 3 municipalities for emergency roadside response. You helped build those contracts. You know which city officials to call and what language to use, and how to make the case for why a tow company is a public safety asset and not just a truck that comes when things go wrong. You are still the person who trained 4 of those drivers. Jesse is a senior operator now. He still calls to debrief after complex scenes, which he no longer needs to do and continues doing anyway. You always answer. Diana is the new field trainer. She is better at it than you were at the same point, which is the specific feeling of watching something you passed forward become something that travels further than you took it. There is a moment, not a big one. A Wednesday evening in November. You are at your desk, and through the window of the yard office, you can see the trucks pulling out for the night shift. 8 of them, one after another, headlights on, radios live. You watch all 8 trucks leave. You think about the drawing, the one with the tow truck and the jacket with your name on it. The one Raina drew when she was 7. It is no longer folded in your jacket pocket. It is framed. It is on the wall beside your desk. You have carried it through every cold shoulder and complicated recovery and 4 a.m. call and empty apartment evening since she put it on the kitchen table. She does not remember drawing it. You told her about it last year. She looked at it for a while and then said, "I drew you because you always came back. You always came back, not just from the calls, from the divorce, from the warehouse, from the apartment with the wrong smell, and the ceiling you could not stop looking at. From every night that felt like subtraction, you came back and you showed up and you worked and you cooked bad dinners and you bought drawing pencils and you let a 9-year-old explain hydraulics back to you incorrectly and you waited outside the front door every Sunday until it closed. That was never separate from the job. The job was how you could do all of that. Every car you hooked was someone else's crisis contained, someone else's night made manageable. Someone else's journey continued because you showed up in the dark with the right equipment and the right patience and the knowledge that some things only move when you do not rush them. Dispatch never knew that part. Dispatch only tracked your response time. Your response time was excellent. The rest of it was yours.